Early May 1940, Europe. Nazi Germany has been at war with Great Britain and France since the 3rd of September 1939, but little fighting takes place on the Western Front until now. The German invasion of France, Belgium, Luxembourg and the Netherlands starts on the 10th of May 1940. Belgium and the Netherlands surrender the same month, and between the 26th of May and the 4th of June 1940, more than 300,000 French and British troops are evacuated from the beaches near Dunkirk across the English Channel to Great Britain. Paris, the French capital, falls to the Germans on the 14th of June 1940, and 8 days later, the French delegation signs an armistice with Germany. To implement their policies in France, German authorities require the assistance of local collaborators who will commit some of the worst atrocities during the occupation. Among those who collaborate with the Nazis is a daughter of a French aristocrat, who for her involvement in the torture of resistance members will become known as the Hyena of the Gestapo. Her name is Violette Morris. Violette Morris, the youngest of 6 sisters, was born on the 18th of April 1893 in Paris in France. Her parents were Elisabeth Sacchini, a wealthy heiress from an upper-class Arab family in Jerusalem, and Baron Pierre-Jacques Maurice, a retired cavalry officer. Young Violette attended a monastery school in Huy, in Belgium, where the physical education classes were taught by British nuns who were active amateur athletes. They taught her to play sports such as basketball, field hockey, and cricket. After leaving the convent from the age of 15, Violette trained at a boxing club where one of her trainers was Billy Papke, an American boxer who held the World Middleweight Championship in 1908. The First World War began on the 28th of July 1914, and the boxing club where Violette trained was closed and converted into a Red Cross center. In August 1914, despite already being an open lesbian, she married Cyprien Edouard Joseph Guru. 3 days after their wedding, which was likely arranged by Violette's parents, Cyprien was mobilized and sent to the front. Violette enlisted voluntarily, and she worked as an ambulance driver and courier, and was known for her courage. However, in the summer of 1916, she fell ill with pleurisy and spent several months in a military hospital. Afterwards, she did not return to the front. The First World War ended on the 11th of November 1918, and the same year Violette's parents died, leaving her a considerable inheritance, which in the years to come would enable her to maintain a comfortable lifestyle while devoting herself full-time to sport. Upon returning to civilian life in 1919, Violette began to dress as a man on a daily basis, and in 1923, her marriage ended in divorce. However, some sources claim that her husband died in 1920 in Egypt. Violette Morris was very strong and masculine in appearance, weighing 68 kilograms at 1.66 meters tall. Although her rather chubby figure did not suggest it, she had incredible speed. She practiced numerous sports, including discus, shot put, and water polo in the national team when there was no women's team. Moreover, she also competed in boxing, often against men, against whom she sometimes also won. She played in 2 Parisian soccer teams for Femina Sport Paris from 1917 to 1919, for Olympique Paris from 1920 to 1926, and for the French national team. She competed in road and track cycling, as well as car racing, motorcycle racing, airplane racing, horse riding, weightlifting, tennis, and swimming. She was ambitious and successful in all sports, and her motto was, "What a man can do, Violette can do." In total, she won 20 national titles, around 10 medals in national and international competitions, took part in more than 150 athletics competitions, and competed in more than 200 soccer matches. During one of the matches, she punched a football referee, and had also been accused of giving amphetamines to other players. In 1928, because she ignored regulations, the French Women's Sports Federation refused to renew Maurice's sports license. She was officially excluded on 2 grounds: her homosexuality, summed up in an accusation of inappropriate behavior in the changing rooms with other sportswomen, and her wearing of men's clothing, which at that time was forbidden for women. Other reasons included her consumption of alcohol and tobacco, and the fact that she played sports in short shorts, without a bra, and in body-hugging clothing. Because of this, she was unable to compete at the 1928 Olympics in Amsterdam. The same year, her auto racing license was revoked on similar moral grounds, and Morris started a car parts store in Paris, which she financed with her inheritance. Along with her employees, she built racing cars. In 1929, Violette Morris had her breasts removed by mastectomy, claiming this was done so that she could fit more easily behind the wheel of her racing car. She had been wearing a binder to reduce the size of her breasts for some time, which was quite common in the 1920s due to the fashion for flat chests. The operation was widely publicized, with generally positive media coverage. In February 1930, Morris sued the French Women's Sports Federation, claiming damages, as she could no longer earn wages competing as an athlete. She demanded reinstatement and 100,000 francs. During the trial, an obscure ordinance from 1800 forbidding women to wear trousers was used against her. After the trial, which she lost and was highly publicized, Morris said, "We live in a country made rotten by money and scandals, ruled by speechifiers, schemers, and cowards. This country of little people is not worthy of its elders, not worthy of survival. Someday, its decay will bring it to the level of a slave. But if I'm still here, I won't be one of the slaves. Believe me, it's not in my temperament." Violette Morris was a well-known personality in the Parisian artistic and bohemian scene, and had long-standing friendships with American-born entertainer Josephine Baker, actor Jean Marais, and poet, author, and filmmaker Jean Cocteau. Morris consumed 2 or 3 packs of American cigarettes a day, and expressed herself in a very vulgar manner. Her masculine style and performances even earned her accusations of being a male transvestite. In 1931, her car parts store in Paris went bankrupt. In January 1933, she moved into her newly acquired houseboat, La Mouette, which was located in Neuilly-sur-Seine, one of the wealthiest and most expensive suburbs of Paris. She then decided to take up opera singing, occasionally appearing on the radio. It was in January 1933 when the Nazis came into power in Germany. Immediately after, Adolf Hitler's new government began preparing the country for war. In 1935, a German journalist, Gertrud Haneke, a former rival in car racing, is said to have contacted Morris to recruit her as a spy for the SD, which was the intelligence agency of the SS and the Nazi Party in Germany under Hitler's regime. Morris knew people all over France and had gained experience in the First World War, which made her interesting to the SD. Morris is said to have subsequently traveled through France and gathered information about the locations of the French army, especially the Maginot Line, the defense system along the French-German border. She also gathered information about the Sommois S-35, France's most modern battle tank. In the meantime, she lived in her houseboat on the Seine and made a living by giving tennis and driving lessons and black market trading. When on the 1st of August 1936, Adolf Hitler opened the 11th Olympic Games, Violette Morris was invited to attend the event by Adolf Hitler himself, becoming his guest of honor. At this time, she was allegedly the mistress of the leader of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, but there is no evidence to support this theory. On Christmas Eve 1937, Violette Morris was arrested for killing a former legionnaire, Joseph Lacam, on board her houseboat. Lacam was the lover of her best friend's wife and had threatened her during a quarrel. Morris was tried in March 1938, but acquitted when the court accepted her plea of self-defense. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The Battle of France began on the 10th of May 1940, and on the 22nd of June of the same year, the armistice at Compiègne was signed by France and Germany. During the occupation of France, Violette Morris was Christian Sarton de Chancher's chauffeur. De Chancher collaborated with the Nazi occupiers and encouraged the recruitment of French officers for the Legion of French Volunteers against Bolshevism. The unit consisted of collaborationist volunteers from France and was sent to the Eastern Front in October 1941, where it performed poorly in combat and suffered heavy losses. During the war, Morris also helped to confiscate petrol for the German army and ran a garage requisitioned by the German Air Forces, the Luftwaffe, on Boulevard Pershing in Paris, supplying them with spare parts. In 1940, Violette received a transfer of 600,000 francs for this, and she said that she had accepted the job because she dreamed of becoming an aviatrix and lecturing on women's sports in the USA. During the occupation, Morris continued to work for the Germans, especially for the commander of the security police in Paris, Helmut Knochen. Her main responsibilities during the war were to infiltrate French resistance networks and disrupt the operation of the Special Operations Executive, the SOE, a British-run organization that helped the resistance. In addition to being a spy for the Nazis, she was also involved in the interrogation and torture of suspects, in particular, female members of the French resistance. Her reputation for involvement in torture and enjoying it resulted in her becoming known as the Hyena of the Gestapo. The Gestapo was the German secret police. In December 1943, in the city of Cannes, with the help of the Gestapo, Morris oversaw the requisitioning of important non-ferrous metals for the German war economy. On the 26th of April, 1944, while driving in a car on a country road in Normandy with the Baillot family, who were favorably positioned with the Nazi regime in France, Morris's car came to a halt. When the car stopped, resistance members emerged from a hiding spot and opened fire on those sitting within the vehicle. The 3 adults, including the 51-year-old Violette Morris, and 2 children aged 14 and 15 were killed. Morris's body, riddled with bullets, was taken to a morgue, where it remained unclaimed for over a year until September 1945. Then, her body was buried in an unmarked communal grave. There are a few contradictory reports around the circumstances of Violette Morris's death. According to one, in April 1944, an order came from London which stated, "Shoot Violette Morris, spy, immediately and by all means." End. As a result, the day Morris was killed, the resistance members tampered with the engine of the car, which then had to stop due to a deliberately caused breakdown. Another theory says that it was a mistake by the resistance members who thought they had found a targeted Nazi collaborator and began firing. Other sources claim that the attack was not aimed at Morris, but at the Baillot family, who were traveling with her in the car and who had friendly contacts with the German occupiers. There were no tears shed for Violette Morris.
Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.